What we're going to do next is to make it so that when we click on this action icon there, we want to be taken to a screen such as this, which is the search screen. Where does that happen? Well, back to our main, in fact, let's get rid of these widgets. Back to our main screen in our weather app, this is where all of that is happening. So you remember earlier, I think I had added that callback, right? Which was the on add, I believe. Let's see. That's the icon. We don't need that. Let's see, make sure I get the right thing. After the nav controller, I'm going to say on add action. Action clicked. I think that's the name of it. And in this case, right, that's the one, right? In this case here, it's a Lambda. I can pass, of course, the event that needs to happen. What is that I want to happen here? Well, let's go back to our weather app, first of all. Okay, so weather app on action clicked. I don't think I have done anything with it. Let's see. What? That's a search icon. Great. So this is where I need to call it. So on add action click, I'm going to just go say invoke like that. And on more, I think it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be the on button clicked. We'll get to that. It's okay. Let's focus on one thing at a time. All right, there we go. And so now here, what I want to happen is very simple. All I want to happen is say nav controller, and I'm going to say navigate, and make sure we get the correct one, which is this one, the route string like this. And I'm going to say weather screens, right? I'm going to go to our search screen, that name like this. Now, I'm not sure if we have a search screen created. Let's see if that's true. Nope, I don't have it. So let's first of all create a new package here. Call this search. Very good. And inside there, I'm going to create a new Kotlin class. It's just going to be a file. Call this search screen like this. Add composable. Search screen, and as you know, I like to pass our nav controller. Let's make sure, oh, that function, fun, because Kotlin is fun. As such. Okay. And what I'm going to do while I'm here, let's go ahead and close that, is I'm going to right away add a scaffold. It's very handy. As you know, I'm going to put a top bar like this. And then here I'm going to put a surface. I'm recording you. Say hello. Hello. That was my beautiful wife. All right, moving on. Surface, I'm going to add a column real quick here. And for now, let's just say text. Okay, that should be okay. Let's remove those qualifiers. That's very good. Now, we're not done yet because we need to go back, remember, to our navigator or navigation, whatever we call it, weather navigation that is, and we need to create that composable, right, inside of our nav host. That is the contract. All right, very simple, really. And so far, I'm going to get rid of that. And we'll have to add a new one later, but that's fine. And this is going to be search screen. And let's change that to search screen, the actual search screen like that. And we should be good. So now that we have all the pieces together, can get rid of that. Let's see. Navigate to search screen. We'll know exactly what to do. Let's go and see. Okay. Wonderful. Let's click on search and voila, we went to search screen. Very good. But that's not what we want. We want something like this. First, we're going to look at the app bar. All right. So our top bar there doesn't have anything, but we can change that. In fact, we will change that. I'm going to use the weather app bar we created. I'm going to pass our nav controller, a very good friend. And then I'm going to make it so that is customized, meaning I'm going to pass a new icon. So I'm going to say icon like this. It's going to be icons default arrow back like that. And then is main is going to be false because we're not in main. And we pass nav controller. That's totally fine. And then, of course, this has a lambda, the last function. When that is clicked, I'm going to say nav controller. I'm going to pop backstack. So that means now, if I run this, you'll see. Okay, if I go, voila, very nice. I can go back and it's working. For the title, just saying title because that's the default because we didn't add anything here. That is fine, ladies and gentlemen, because we can go ahead and say title. Let's see, I think title has to be the first one. Say title. Let's just say search. Okay, click, search, very good. I can go back and forth. Nice. Now, what we want to do, of course, is to have, of course, this form. In this case, it's just a text field so that users can add a city and hit enter and then be taken back to our main screen and show the actual forecast, weather forecast for that city. Okay, so instead of text here, we don't need that. What I'm going to pass, in fact, let's go back to our surface here. Let's see, actually our column. I'm going to say vertical alignment, arrangement that is. I want to be center and horizontal alignment, center horizontally as such. Okay, and so inside here is where I'm going to add the form, or in this case, the text field, but I'm going to call it form. So at the bottom, I'm going to at the bottom here, I'm going to create a composable, say fun. Actually, first it's going to be composable. Create this called search. Call this search bar. I think that works fine. Okay, so I'm going to pass the on search function here as a parameter, and I'm going to pass in a string as its own parameter, right? And it's going to return a unit like this. Now, what's going to happen here? Well, inside here, I'm going to create a column just to organize things. Really, there's no other reason. And then I'm going to call yet another composable. This composable is called common text field. Now, this common text field we haven't created yet, but you will see in a second here. So I'm going to pass a few values here, or parameters or arguments. State, it's going to be search query state, and we're going to pass a placeholder called Seattle. And then on action, I'm just going to invoke the keyboard actions, which is a lambda. And inside here, I'm going to put an if statement to say, okay, this is too much. Okay, all right, that's okay for now. Let's go ahead and create this puppy here. Create this composable. All right, so this composable has a few things we need to pass. That's okay. So value state. For a value state here, it's going to be a mutable state. You'll see in a second here of type string like this. And placeholder, that's fine. And then I'm going to pass a few others here, such as keyboard type that I need when this is invoked. And I'm just going to set it right away to keyboard type dot text like this. IME actions. I'll just set it to default that next. So it shows that next action. If you click on next, then it's going to retrieve the information from the keyboard that was entered into the field. All right. And for keyboard actions here, I'm also going to add keyboard actions default like this as default values for on action. Okay, so inside here is where I'm going to then create this field. Okay, there are different kinds of fields we can create, but I'm going to use the outlined text field as such. And for the value, I'm going to pass the value state, that value. And on value changed, right, it's a lambda. I'm going to say value state. That value, I'm going to set that to the changes that are coming from our text. So this is what we're doing here, is that whatever we're getting or users have added in our text field, we are setting that into a value state, which is the state of these. We're setting that into our value state value in this case, so that we have what is inside here, so we can use it. So we have more parameters we need to pass. We could pass for our outline text field, and we're going to pass a few just to complete the picture. So we have value, we have on value changed. Let's continue and add something more. I want to pass in a label. It's a lambda. I'm going to pass a text, and this text will just have a placeholder, right? And I'm going to say max lines, just going to say 1. I want to make this a single line to true. That means our field will only allow one line. And for our keyboard types, or options in this case, I'm going to say keyboard options. And I'm going to pass the keyboard type to be the keyboard type that we are passing along as a parameter. Let's see, looks like something is not quite right in here. No value changed. Right, let's continue. That will change later. The IM action, I'm going to pass the IME action as such. All right, this should be keyboard options, not actions. Okay, that's why. Okay, now we're going to add the keyboard options, actions that is, and we'll just pass it on action, keyboard that we passed along in our parameters. And let's go and give some colors. I'm going to change a few things here. Now, we are going to have to override the text field defaults, right, like this, and say outlined field colors, and we'll pass our own colors. Looks like it always does this. Let's get rid of all of that. All right, so I'm going to say for focused, border color is going to be color.blue. So we can change it to whatever we want, of course, but blue is fine. I want to change the cursor color to color.black. Again, it's just my choice. You can change to whatever you want. Keep in mind that this is part of Compose, how easy it is for us to actually update or customize our views, right? Okay, so what else we need here? Let's see. Let's finalize that one, and then I'm going to pass a shape around this is going to be a rounded corner shape, and I'm going to just pass a 15 dp percentage for all sides. Yes, I know a lot of things are we typing here, modifier, but you will see. Let's say fill max width, and I'm going to padding, I'm going to give a start padding of about 10 dp, an end of about also 10 dp as such. Okay. And let's finalize everything. That's good. Now we have a problem here for our search query state, which we haven't created. It's okay. We're going to create right now. So back to our search bar where the common text field has been called. I'm going to create a few variables here. So the first one is going to be the search query state. As the name implies, it's going to be a state, right? So I'm going to use the remember savable because I want this to retain its state even if we end up having rotation configuration changes. So that is a different flavor of just remember. Remember, when you rotate the phone, the state is going to be recreated. The state is going to be lost. But with remember savable, that won't be lost. So it's always nice to do that, especially when we are dealing with forms or text fields, because we don't want to lose this state. We want to lose what users have entered if there's some sort of configuration rotation changes. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's say lambda, and we can go ahead and put mutable state of empty value at first. Okay, the next one let's put that in one line. Very good. Next, I'm going to create a keyboard controller because we need that. And this needs to, and for that we have to say local software keyboard controller get current like this. Now, you see that we have a problem here because this is an experimental API, which means it's most likely to change in the future. We have to add this experimental compose UI annotation for this to work. So we do that, and I'm going to validate our field. So I'm going to put that inside of yet another state called valid. So I'm going to say remember. You can just use a remember like this, and I'm going to pass also what calculations I want to make. So the variable that we want to operate on for our valid state. In this case, it's going to be our search query state, that value. Okay, it's almost like the input that we're going to use to check whether whatever users enter here is valid or not. So inside here, I'm going to say search query that value. I'm going to trim that, and then is not empty. So I'm going to return true if it's not empty. If it's empty, it's going to be false, which is not validated. All right, just a little trick there. Now you can see search query state is looking good. All right, so this video is getting really long, so we're going to stop here. And next, we are going to continue working on our search bar and then hopefully see something on our screen.